If you're over 40 and you're trying to lose fat, I want you to just listen for a second and see if this sounds familiar. You're eating pretty well, you're trying to exercise, but the progress is just not what it used to be, right? Maybe it even feels like you're working harder than ever for way less results. Well, today we're going to change that. We are talking about how to get the results you want, but without the punishment, without the joint pain, and without the hormonal chaos that comes from using a playbook that, frankly, just wasn't written for your body today.
Does this just hit a little too close to home? This is one of the most common and deeply frustrating things I hear. You are putting in the effort, maybe even more than you did in your 20s, but the scale just will not budge. If that's where you are right now, I really want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not alone, and your body is not broken. It's just playing by a new set of rules.
And right here, this is the big mental shift we need to make. That old no pain, no gain mantra, the idea of just grinding harder and eating less and less, well, that can actually start to work against us now. The key isn't to fight your body or to punish it into submission. The key is to understand what's changed and to work with your body using a much smarter, more sustainable strategy.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack the unique challenges and, yes, the opportunities of this stage of life. Then, we'll get into exactly why those old fitness rules are failing you. After that, we are going to build a brand new, smart framework for success. And finally, we'll shift our entire focus from just losing fat to training for a long, vibrant, and really capable future. Let's get into it.
Okay, first up, the Over 40 Challenge. Before we can build a better strategy, we have to understand the new landscape we're working with. So what is really going on under the hood, physiologically, that makes everything feel so different?
This slide, it just lays it out so perfectly. Think back to your 20s for a second. We were practically invincible, right? We could pull an all-nighter, go crush it at the gym the next day, and bounce right back. Our muscle was solid, our joints felt bulletproof, and we could handle a ton of stress. But after 40, the game changes. Our muscle mass naturally begins a slow decline. Recovery from that same exact workout takes a little longer. Our joints need more care, and our bodies just become a lot more sensitive to all kinds of stress. And I want to be clear, this is not a failure, it's just biology.
And that brings us to maybe the most important word for this entire conversation: sarcopenia. It sounds kind of technical, but all it means is the age-related loss of muscle. Now here's why this matters so much. Muscle is your body's metabolic engine. It's what we call metabolically expensive, which means it burns calories just by existing, even when you're resting on the couch. So as we start to lose that muscle, our metabolic engine just idles a little bit lower. And that right there is the single biggest reason why things feel so different. Okay, so now that we understand these new physiological rules, less muscle, slower recovery, and more stress sensitivity, it becomes crystal clear why that old go harder playbook so often backfires. Let's break down the most common mistakes people make when they try to apply those outdated rules to this new reality. First up is the cardio trap. For so many of us, the default reaction when we want to lose fat is just to start running for miles and miles, trying to basically outrun a slower metabolism. And look, cardio is great, but overdoing the high-impact stuff after 40 can create way more problems than it solves. So here's why it backfires. That constant repetitive pounding can be really tough on joints that are already a little more vulnerable. But even more importantly, long, grueling cardio sessions can spike our primary stress hormone, which is cortisol. And ironically, chronically high cortisol can actually signal the body to store fat, especially right around the midsection. It's the classic case of working harder, not smarter. All right, next up, let's talk about the calorie-cutting trap. When the scale isn't moving, the most logical first step seems to be, well, I'll just eat a lot less. But going too low, too fast, that can be a recipe for disaster. See, when we slash calories too dramatically, our bodies are smart. They sense a famine, and they go into survival mode. To get energy, they'll start breaking down the most expensive tissue they have, which is our precious muscle. This just makes sarcopenia worse, it slows our metabolism down even further, and it creates this vicious cycle that makes sustainable fat loss feel totally impossible. We have to fuel our bodies, not starve them. And that leads us to the single biggest missed opportunity in fitness after 40, ignoring or deprioritizing strength training. A lot of people still think of lifting weights as something for bodybuilders, not for fat loss. But listen, if the main challenge is muscle loss, then the primary solution has to be building and preserving muscle. Without that direct signal from resistance training, we are essentially letting our metabolic engine shrink year after year. Okay, that's enough with the problems. Let's build the solution. It's time to introduce the SMART framework. This is not a crash diet. It is not a brutal boot camp. It's a simple, effective, and sustainable system designed to work with your body's new biology, not against it. This is how we create lasting change.
So, the SMART framework is built on these 5 pillars that all work together. Strength training is our non-negotiable cornerstone to protect our metabolism. We swap that grueling cardio for smart, low-impact movement. We create a moderate calorie deficit, not an extreme one. We prioritize protein to feed our muscles, and we manage sleep and stress to keep our hormones happy. It's a holistic approach where every single part supports the others.
And this slide right here, this highlights our #1 priority. 2 to 3 full-body strength training sessions every week. This is our most powerful weapon against sarcopenia. It sends a loud and clear signal to your body to build and keep that metabolically active muscle, which in turn strengthens your joints and keeps your metabolism firing on all cylinders. And if you focus on big, compound movements like squats, deadlifts, and presses, you get the most bang for your buck. This is truly the foundation of your success.
So what do we do instead of all that pounding cardio? Well, we get smart with something called Zone 2. This is the fat-burning sweet spot. It's any activity, like a brisk walk, a bike ride, or using the elliptical, where your heart rate is elevated, but you can still comfortably hold a conversation. Zone 2 training is incredible because it literally teaches your body's cells to get better and more efficient at burning your own stored body fat for fuel, all without the joint stress or the cortisol spikes.
So what does this actually look like in a real week? It's probably simpler than you think. You schedule those 2 or 3 strength sessions like they're important appointments you can't miss. You aim for a nice daily walk or some other Zone 2 movement that you actually enjoy. You make sure there's a good source of protein on your plate at every meal. And you protect your sleep like it's your job. Really, it's all about consistency, not perfection.
Now let's just take a step back and look at the real prize here, because this is so much bigger than just losing a few pounds. This is about changing the entire goal from how you look in the mirror tomorrow to how you live for the rest of your life. This is about training for your future self.
And that brings us to this absolutely game-changing concept from the longevity expert Dr. Peter Attia. He calls it the centenarian decathlon. The idea is profound but simple. Identify the 10 physical things you want to be able to do with ease in your 90s, and then start training for them today. It's about proactively building the physical capacity you want to have for a long, active, and amazing life.
And this isn't about abstract gym goals like hitting a new bench press max. This is about function. It's about having the strength to effortlessly lift your grandchild up for a hug. It's about having the mobility to get yourself up off the floor without anyone's help. It's about having the stability to walk on uneven ground without that fear of falling, and the aerobic health to climb a few flights of stairs without getting totally winded. It's training for life.
And this quote just drives the point home perfectly. We will inevitably lose some strength as we age. That is just a biological fact. Therefore, the strategy is to build a surplus, a reserve of strength and fitness now, so that when that natural decline happens, you still have more than enough capacity to do all the things you love. You have to train to be stronger than your future goal.
So, the real takeaway from all of this is that we're shifting our perspective entirely. The goal isn't just short-term fat loss anymore. The true goal is long-term metabolic health. We are training to protect our muscle because that protects our metabolism. We are training to protect our joints so we can move with freedom and without pain. And we're training to protect our energy so we can live a full, vibrant, and awesome life for decades to come.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Please, don't feel like you need to overhaul your entire life tomorrow. That's not how lasting change happens. Instead, just ask yourself this one simple question. What is one small, smart change you can make this week to start training for that strong, capable, and amazing future version of you? Thanks for being here.